Hey there, my name's Niandra, and with Season 3 we're getting some really weird Mercy changes, and yes, there are some hefty nerfs here. What I'm gonna do is read out all the changes first, then split the video into sections where I'll talk about them more in depth, go through some interactions, and just give my thoughts. Okay, number 1, the cooldown of Guardian Angel has been increased from 1.5 seconds to 2.5. The speed of backwards Guardian Angel and super jumps are now 20% slower. Change number 2, Mercy's healing has been reduced from 55 to 45, however she gets a 50% healing increase when healing critical allies. And last of all, change number 3, Mercy's regeneration passive has been removed and replaced with a new one where Mercy heals herself for 25% of healing done with her staff. Oh boy, okay, let's go through this. Yeah, so change number 1, Guardian Angel has a higher cooldown and some of the movement is slower. Okay, so there's no getting around it, these two changes feel bad. They make Mercy feel clunky and sluggish, which is two words you really don't want describing her movement. I think Mercy mains are just going to be really frustrated with this. The developer comment for this change mentions the cooldown nerf is necessary to reduce the greatly increased mobility from her Overwatch 2 super jump rework. The thing with this though, Overwatch 1 Mercy's movement probably would not have been able to keep up with Overwatch 2's fast pace. Also, in my mind, Guardian Angel's really short cooldown was justified because movement is Mercy's main method of defense. She doesn't usually fight back with damage like other support heroes, plus her movement is dependent on teammate positioning and can't be used freely. I really don't want to discredit or be rude to the balance team here, but they know this about Mercy, right? They know her mobility is her main method of defense, yeah? Because this Guardian Angel nerf, along with the pistol buff, genuinely makes me kinda worried that they don't. These Guardian Angel nerfs create a domino effect of problems with her kit that just don't seem to have been taken into consideration and just feel really awful. Previously, Mercy's Guardian Angel cooldown and the time her beam would remain connected to an ally that is no longer valid were pretty similar numbers. As I mentioned in my recent damage boost guide, you could get into this really nice routine to help aggressively positioned allies where you would GA to them, get your beam attached, and then backwards GA. By doing this repeatedly, you could nicely support teammates at max distance while staying safe yourself. However, now that Guardian Angel's cooldown is over a second longer than your beam retention time, playing from max beam length feels really clunky and can leave you pausing a lot. Also, imagine flying to someone only for them to reposition and being forced to wait before you can follow up. One of the cool things with Mercy was how she could always keep up with hyper-mobile teammates, and she's just going to be so much worse at that now, especially if you have to save GA to help yourself. Also, Mercy's infinite GA tech, where you would fly to an ally below, cancel, and bob in the sky, just feels like hot dog now, and I'm sure other techs have also been hit as well. That being said, you can still reset Guardian Angel by flying then using Valkyrie, which might actually become a pretty good strat. This cooldown synchronicity problem also extends to Resurrect, because with Resurrect, you used to be able to fly to the soul, revive, and GA was generally ready once the animation was over to fly away. Now you have this brief, awkward little pause, and I guarantee you this is going to feel really bad. Assuming it's off cooldown, Mercy can hold down Guardian Angel while reviving to automatically fly once no longer locked into animation, and this would feel so smooth with the old cooldown. I know people who don't play her or just hate her as a character like to pretend that Mercy gets a resurrect off every 30 seconds, but that really wasn't the case in reality, and if it was, maybe that wasn't the ability's fault. A lot of players get roughly between 4 and 5 reses every 10 minutes. A pause like this is really hard to play around, so it's going to make failed reses so much more frustrating. What might end up happening is Mercy mains flying to a soul, cancelling Guardian Angel early, walking forward, and then going for it so they can fly away faster afterwards. As for the speed decreases on super jump and backwards GA, it doesn't feel great, but it's not the end of the world. I'd say it's mostly noticeable when the meter isn't very full, however I think this is something we could just get used to over time. I think as things are, this is going to lead to extra frustration because it's on top of the cooldown nerf. Also, one thing I noticed is that this does not affect the speed of forward slingshots, so like it might actually be better to just turn around really fast now rather than backwards GA. Also, before I go on to the next section, I would like to shamelessly plug my Discord real quick, which you should join, especially if you want to discuss these changes. Thank you. Moving on, change number 2. Mercy's healing is reduced from 55 per second to 45. However, healing is increased by 50% for allies under half health. Now, outside of Valkyrie, Mercy will heal critical allies for 67.5 healing per second. during Valkyrie she will heal them for 90, which means Valkyrie might actually be a pretty solid defensive ultimate now. Also, the developer patch note comment mentions that healing an ally outside of ult from 1 to 200 should roughly be the same amount of time with this new system. Something to keep in mind is that this also means you're gonna get a bit more ult charge for healing critical allies, especially tanks, and on one hand this is kinda neat, and on the other it means you're gonna be stepping on the toes of your other support more and taking ult charge away from them. So personally, I think it is too early to really say what this change will mean for Mercy. However, I am pretty concerned it's going to push experienced Mercy mains to damage boost and hard pocket even more, which was the main thing people were complaining about with Mercy, while also pushing inexperienced Mercy mains to heal bot even more. Cause like the thing with newer or low ranked players is they see low healing outputs and they think it means they need to heal for longer to make up for it. Like newer players will heal bot on Lucio, they will never speed. Let me ask you this, if Mercy heals non-critical health to allies slower, but is also less mobile and gets punished for trying to dart everywhere, if she needs to actively think about saving GA for herself instead of using it to help teammates, why wouldn't Mercy just stick with a DPS in the back that can protect her? To be honest, I could go either way on this change. I'm mostly confused as to why they're doing this now, but that's about the only thought I have. Last of all, Mercy's regeneration passive has been removed. However, she has a new passive called Sympathetic Recovery where she heals herself for 25% of healing done with her staff. Three crucial things here. One, Mercy still has the support role passive, so she can still heal by herself. Secondly, Mercy no longer has constantly active health regeneration during Valkyrie. So let's say you get hit by Ashe's dynamite, you can no longer just nullify it with your ult. You need to be healing at least one person and your self-healing will drop if you damage boost. If you need to heal during Valkyrie and cannot beam a teammate, you gotta wait for the support passive to kick in, and no, it doesn't feel good. Thirdly, and funniest of all, this passive stacks during Valkyrie if your beam hits multiple teammates. In this video clip, I am able to briefly tank Bob's damage by healing my critical teammates. If you would like to see the exact numbers for self-healing, they are on screen now if you want to pause. Anyway, I had been hoping to see them look at Mercy's health regeneration because it was actually better in Overwatch 1 but then got nerfed in the Crossfire when role passes were introduced, and that's kinda sad I think. This change though is bizarre. I am fucking fascinated by this. As someone who enjoys body blocking as Mercy, I definitely think there is potential for really interesting plays with this. I cannot wait to see the tank Mercy clips that are gonna go around. That being said, I am also very concerned with the clunkiness and that it's gonna feel a lot worse than it should, especially during Valkyrie because it's packaged with a Guardian Angel nerf. If you combine these two changes together, Mercy's survivability takes a pretty big hit, which might be rough to adjust to. Normally I would be all over something like this. I would be theory crafting to the moon and back, but at the moment it is so hard to concentrate on anything besides the GA nerf because it's gonna have a big domino effect that's just gonna hit Mercy as a whole. Anyway, let's start wrapping this video up with some general thoughts. I feel like I've spent the last month listening to non-stop complaints from the community about Mercy's damage boost and resurrect, on Reddit and Twitter especially. Yet neither of those things have been touched here, so I'm worried that people are still just gonna complain about Mercy, especially because, as I said, I think there is a possibility that the healing changes will only enforce the damage boost heavy pocket playstyle. Don't get me wrong, I didn't want damage boost or res nerfed, but a part of me was expecting a numbers reduction or resurrect to bring back allies with less health or something. Instead, I've ended up feeling like I've been hit with a baseball bat. Like, even the changes that are probably going to end up as buffs are just so confusing. I don't know how to put this into words, but I also feel slightly more bitter towards the pistol buffs now. A small part of me is genuinely worried that the way the devs currently see Mercy is not how I, or a good portion of the Mercy main community, sees her, and like, I don't expect the devs to cater entirely to me. I don't expect them to watch my videos and take all my ideas, that's fine. However, I do feel like I have a good grasp on how the Mercy community feels, and if you've seen my content before, you'll know I try to be considerate to both sides when discussing changes, even if it's not something I personally like. Like, the thing is, the healing and health regeneration changes are actually really interesting, but I just don't care right now because the Guardian Angel nerf affects not only Mercy's core playstyle, but how she feels to play as well. Her fun factor has been hit here as a result. Luckily, and I take solace in this, Mercy is a pretty popular character. If these changes don't work out, I think the devs will be quicker to address them, as opposed to a character like Sombra who was just sort of left by the wayside. I am really hoping that in a few weeks Guardian Angel gets put on like a 1.8 cooldown or something, and we start to see Mercy mains doing some cool things with the health related changes, and we aren't just still stuck on this conversation of her feeling bad. And there we go, see you all in Season 3, it's gonna be an interesting one. Thank you so much for watching, feel free to subscribe for more Mercy content, and have a nice day.